Passer à notre troisième round avec deux tables rondes également qui vont se passer de manière simultanée. Ici, dans l'amphithéâtre, nous allons avoir l'entrepreneuriat cyber, un levier stratégique pour l'innovation et la souveraineté numérique, qui sera animé par M. Shahmeer. Et dans la salle numéro 2, comme on l'a dit en amont, nous aurons l'automatisation et continuous security. Comment automatiser la conformité et renforcer la sécurité continue dans les environnements cloud, qui sera animé par M. Faisal. Merci beaucoup.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to keep this one very short and precise because this is an area which I recently started to indulge myself in. It is about cyber entrepreneurship, how it acts as a strategic lever for innovation and digital sovereignty. So, what we are going to talk about is how entrepreneurial innovation in the cyberspace can drive both technological advancement and national sovereignty in an era where data flows no borders, but national interests remain paramount. Cyber entrepreneurship emerges as a powerful strategic lever. Throughout the course of the talk, we'll establish why this matters, define our terms, explore how these concepts connect, examine real-world examples, discuss implementations, and look to the future. We exist in a world of contradictions. Our economies are digital, yet our governance remains national. Data flows freely, but security threats loom larger. Consider that while innovation knows no borders, sovereignty does. This creates a fundamental tension that cyber entrepreneurship uniquely addresses. Cyber entrepreneurship basically goes beyond creating another app or a platform. These are ventures solving fundamental problems of security, autonomy, and control. They're building the digital equivalent of national infrastructure, the roads, the bridges, and the utilities of the 21st century. By its definition, the creation of ventures whose fundamental values is based on digital technologies and they address real-world problems of confidentiality, integrity, and availability in the digital infrastructure is called cyber entrepreneurship. Sovereignty isn't about going it alone. It's about having the capability to choose, to decide when to collaborate and when to protect. It's the difference between being a tenant in someone else's digital house and owning the foundation of your own. There are three pillars of digital sovereignty: technological, data, and strategic. Technological sovereignty, it means you control all of your digital infrastructure. Data means you control and govern your data within your national borders. And strategic autonomy means the freedom to make your digital policy without external coercion. Now, how do these concepts connect? This is where the magic happens. Cyber entrepreneurship isn't just good for business, it is good for national security and economic independence. Each successful sovereign cyber venture strengthens the nation's digital posture, which in turn creates more opportunities for entrepreneurs. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle of innovation and security. While large corporations and governments agencies play crucial roles, startups operate at a different velocity. They can fail fast, they can pivot quickly, they can bring fresh perspective to entrenched problems. This isn't just a theory. We see 6 to 12-month development cycles versus multi-year procurement processes in government organizations. It solves the hard problems. There is speed, there's experimental mindset, cross-pollination, and market validation. This is how cyber entrepreneurship drives innovation. And in turn, just like that, the benefits extend far beyond security. A successful cyber startup ecosystem creates economic value that ripples through the entire economy. It's not just about preventing bad things, it's about enabling good things like high-paying jobs, export revenue, and technological leadership. There are 4 critical contributions that digital sovereignty actually makes. In-house indigenous solutions, supply chain security, talent retention, and rapid response capability. Every $1 that is invested in a cyber startup generates $8 to $12 in broader economic value. There is no one size. This is a no one size fits all approach. Every nation adapts cyber entrepreneurship to its unique circumstances, and we're going to look at some examples. What works for small security-focused nations like Estonia differs from what works for a continental power like Germany or democracies like India. We have 4 dominant models: the Silicon Valley, US, which is the VC-fueled and defense tech links, the European, China, India. We have these dominant models can be replicated across different nations. Let's look at Europe. Europe takes a different approach, starting with regulation and standards and letting the market respond. Gaia X isn't trying to build a European AWS. It's creating the rules of the road so that European companies can build interoperable sovereign alternatives. This creates clear market opportunities for entrepreneurs who understand these requirements. Then we have Estonia, a complete digital nation which has transformed how we look at digital sovereignty. Estonia shows that size doesn't determine digital destiny. By building open, interoperable digital foundations, they created platforms on which entrepreneurs can build. Their digital ID system is just for government services. It's a platform for private innovation. And crucially, they build it with digital sovereignty in mind from day one. You can check out the facts on the board. And then we have, historically speaking, India. India demonstrates how massive scale can be an advantage. They built open APIs that solve fundamental problems: identity, payments, data sharing. They created platforms on which entrepreneurs could innovate without permission. This isn't just about efficiency, it's about creating an entirely new innovation ecosystem that serves national priorities like financial inclusion while maintaining sovereignty. Aadhaar is the digital identity platform of India. It has 1.3 billion people enrolled in it. UPI is their real-time payment system. DigiLocker is the document storage and verification system. Then we can take examples from France and Germany. They show us how governments can use their purchasing power strategically by creating clear sovereign cloud criteria and preferentially procuring from compliant providers. They're not just buying services, they're building an industry, and they are basically pushing companies and organizations to be more open to data sharing. The most clear example about that is you can now airdrop from your Pixel 10 phone to an iPhone. Before, what happened was Apple used to basically use a standard called Apple Wireless File Sharing System, which basically created a private network between two iPhones. But now, what the European Union has done is it has pushed Apple to use the standard called Wi-Fi Aware, which Google has been using since Android 8. And now you can basically airdrop from a Google Pixel 10 to an iPhone, and it will be rolled out to all kinds of different Android phones in the near future. Despite the opportunities, significant barriers remain. The longest is often the first sale. Enterprises, governments, they want proven solutions. But the problem is startups need customers to become proven, so it is a chicken and egg battle. This creates a catch-22 that only strategic intervention can actually solve. Now, this is a problem that cannot be solved so easily. And strategically, governments, they are not just passive observers here, they are the essential architects. But their role isn't to pick winners or to build everything themselves. It is to create conditions where entrepreneurs can thrive while aligning with national interest. This requires a mix of demand-side measures, procurement, and supply-side support like talent and capital. So the 4 essential tools are strategic procurement and sandboxes, targeted R&D and grant funding, talent pipeline development, and sovereign capital allocation. The idea is that the most successful approaches move beyond transactional relationships. Intel basically shows how intelligence agencies can work with startups without compromising either's mission. We're seeing a rise in OSINT and intelligence and threat intelligence companies on the rise. What we're seeing nowadays was only a decade ago used by intelligence agencies to track certain individuals. Now there are companies out there that are using open source intelligence for that purpose. The key insight is that sovereignty isn't something you add later. It must be designed in from the beginning. From technical architecture to investor selection, it is something that should be there from the start without having to have a problem in the future. So, how do you navigate through geopolitical tightropes? This is perhaps the most delicate challenge. Complete openness creates vulnerability, but complete control leads to irrelevance. The solution lies in smart boundaries. Mark my words, when we will be having the 7th edition of MaTeCC, we will have something called bordered internet. That will be this is rather less of a prediction, more of a calculation, because there are companies that I have been involved with. One of them is called Valerian Systems. They're creating something called bordered internet, which means that every nation will have complete control over their national data that flows through their internet exchange and complete autonomy over their sovereignty. This is the solution that is called smart boundary. That is the smart boundary. Knowing what to protect and what to share and with whom. Increasingly, sovereignty is achieved through alliances rather than isolation. So, most of you must be thinking that this is something that we are isolating people and limiting lack of sharing data, but it is actually the exact opposite of it. 3 critical balances are open source versus strategic control, global markets versus strategic retention, collaboration versus protectionism. The purpose of today's session that I just, spoke for the past 20-something minutes was to basically give you an idea of how cyber entrepreneurship can enable digital sovereignty. What it means is that small companies can grow international providers for contributing towards economies and contributing towards innovation. Like the path that I took with Speaker. The problem that we identified with Speaker was that we carry in our pockets the processing power that was used to take a rocket to the moon. Why can we not use that processing power to create a system that replaces current wired communication systems and replaces conferencing hardware technology, allowing the organization full control over their data and full control over who they connect to by using blockchain as an integrated factor and encryption as a privacy factor. Now, for most people, this is a problem that is trivial, like why we have Zoom, we have Teams, why do you need another conferencing solution? If you open a Zoom meeting, there is a section on top that actually tells you where your data is being routed through. Essentially, even if it is encrypted, the data is not sovereign to your organization or to your country. The concept of digital sovereignty lies in having complete ownership of your data and complete control of where it goes. This is where the internet is headed towards, and this is the next generation of how companies, organizations, nations, and individuals will collaborate, communicate, and interact with each other. I open the floor to questions if you have any. Thank you.
Some momentum that would enable at the end to have this magic happen.
Okay, so the concept of preventing access to something in today's time is benefactored by a firewall. A firewall is basically the most basic example. Like if you want to prevent access if you want to prevent access to an asset within a company, within a house, or within a country, you use a firewall. But the problem is that this entire concept is flawed because of two reasons. Number one, this is a filter, essentially. A firewall is a filter. It cannot detect or it cannot read encrypted packets. That's point number one. Secondly, the underlying idea of prevention and filtration should be based on behavior, not based on signatures. So there is a research out there that I contributed to with Valerian Systems. The fact of the matter is that what gave rise to internet-based crimes in the first place, like human trafficking and child pornography and all of that stuff was the fact that nations just took what DARPA built back in the 80s and expanded it without concept of digital sovereignty or data integrity in mind. Just like we have borders to prevent bad people from getting in and out, we should have borders to prevent bad data from getting in and outside our country. And every country should have full autonomy on that. Now, how do you detect a bad person? Because they may have done some bad things in the past, right? Similarly, that is the behavior-based approach with data. If 10 packets are coming in from country A that have DDoS signatures or DDoS behavior in them, then obviously the 11th packet will also have it. This is the heuristic-based system that the world is moving towards, and you will see more and more of it in the coming days. I promise you that. What can skyrocket or fuel this innovation is collaboration between countries, is collaboration on a single data set about data exfiltration and data outfiltration. We will see a major shift after the AI bubble pops, and that major shift will be about digital sovereignty and bordered internet, because it will give rise to many privacy-based problems. I hope that answers your question.
Well, the answer is that there's no one step. There's no first step.
No, there
should
is
be
no
a mix
first.
of a lot of things.
Yes, exactly. There can never be first step. Because the problem is you're not looking at something that is very simple. You're looking at internet in its foundation was not created to be sovereign, like it was created to be open. That's the problem that we are facing. But as we move towards the concept of border internet, there will be a massive, steep decline in cybercrimes, which will benefit us all, inshallah.
As you know, we have a couple of students, and as we mentioned earlier, that you need between 18 and 24 months for R&D. Is that correct?
Yeah,
so if we go for the entrepreneurship, and you have to provide some key points for our students or anyone who want to go for the cyber entrepreneurship, can you just share your journey and maybe the most important challenges you faced at the first step?
My journey, the most important challenge that I faced was finding and building the right team. That's the most important challenge. And I mean, I don't consider myself to be there yet to be able to stand on a stage and share my journey. I like to share my research because that is something I love to do. There are a lot of successful entrepreneurs that you can ask this question from. I'm still in that phase of trying to make it, but I think I'm on the older side of that, because what entrepreneurs normally experience in 10 years, I have in 15. I have been bankrupt 3 times, and I have revived my companies 2 times without a lawsuit. And right now we're just trying to take on one of the most innovated products in the history of technology, that is the audio conference phone. It is a massively non-saturated market with no innovation in it, and the problem is very complex to solve technologically, because you're dealing with sound in free space, like with very inefficient mobile phone microphones. So I mean, just I asked the same question to someone who is his name is Raghib Hussain. He's the CEO of Altera, and he's one of the only Pakistani founders who have had a $7 billion exit in his previous company. And I asked him the same question, and he told me two things: keep working and keep building. And if ever I understand what this means, I will tell you. Right now, I don't. Anyways, thank you so much for your time, guys. Thank you so much.